Okay, I think we just waiting for Veda. Okay, I think yeah, we have almost all of us. Vishaka maybe joining a little late. We can actually kind of start. Welcome all. Great to see you again. One more session of Women on Break programs. I think welcoming Hema, Gauri, and Veda, and fantastic to see you again. Uh, Ramit actually, is going to moderate this session today, and Ramit is actually kind of a industry leader for Genpact, handling recruiting and resource management globally. Ramit, over to you. You can take it forward this session.
Thanks a lot, Murli, and a very good evening to all of you, all the panelists, all the audiences, and the teams of Shi and Chin. I hope everybody is safe and sound and doing good with their family and the loved ones. So I think we got an interesting panel today, and over and above that tech panel, we also have a very interesting topic to be discovered today. So what we're going to discuss today is what's been the impact of the pandemic, on the diversity workforce and the working women, and how is the industry helping them out, what are the challenges that we are facing, and to discuss more and get very in-depth insights on these topics. We've got a very interesting panel today with us, and I'll just take an opportunity to introduce our tech panel with all of you. So let's start with Hema Bairappa, who is the Director HR from GE Appliances, and Hema is a seasoned HR professional, successfully working with IT, engineering, travel, and e-learning industries for about 17 years. Hema has led various projects on HR integration, new hire experience, diversity, and inclusion. And apart from HR, Hema is very passionate about mental health counseling. And she strongly believes in adding the right value and making a positive difference and impact in the areas that she works through, building and nurturing the strong networks for the women. So welcome aboard, Hema, for today's session. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Ramit. Thank you, Murli. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I find it really, my personal pleasure to be here.
Thanks a lot, Hema. And the next leader that we have on board today with us is Gauri. Gauri, who's a global HR leader and a very well-known TEDx speaker. So Gauri Das is an engineer turned HR professional who has got keen interest in human psychology. She's a strategic HR leader with 15 plus years of professional experience in crafting and aligning HR strategy with business goals. She supports business leaders and individuals in driving performance and improving capabilities. She is also a possibility explorer and supports business leaders in creating possibilities and opportunities, even if there seems to be none, which is a very interesting concept. And she carries a wealth of experience with both startups and well-established organizations. She loves high energy and a growth-focused environment. Some of the achievements of Gauri, she's featured in HR 100 under 40. She's also featured on top HR Minds for India. She's also featured in the top 70 TAPAI and Economic Times Young HR Leaders. And she's been also the growth-oriented Women in Corporate WICA. And she's also been declared the LinkedIn Person of the Year 2020 for last year. Welcome aboard, Gauri. So good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Ramit. Thanks, Murli. And it's good to be amongst techies today because I come from BFSI, so I'm going to have a good time having this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think the next leader that we are very proud to welcome here today is Veda Bharti. She's a Chief People Officer at CloudThink. Now, Veda is a different combination altogether. She's a technologist by trade and a natural people leader who has recently switched into a people-centric, people-focused role. She's worked with diverse teams for almost 15 years, creating beautifully crafted software for Fortune 500 organizations. Her love for collaborating and encouraging people continued throughout her career as a technologist, and her background into technology gave her a unique combination of perspectives on the difficulties that employees encounter on the ground. Now, Veda joined CloudThink in 2013 as the company's 6th employee worldwide and the very first in India. Veda has played an important and key role in company's expansion to a 250-person team right now. Her current focus is on seamlessly integrating people and business strategy to help CloudThink navigate through its rapid growth period. Welcome aboard, Veda. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramit. And it's really great to be here and humbling to be in the presence of other HR leaders from whom I can learn a lot and give back a little to the community that I come from as well. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Thanks, Veda. And I think Vishaka Datta, she just entered the event, very good time and very right time to make an entry, Vishaka. So Vishaka Datta is a Director, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion with Sapient Publicis. Vishaka is a senior HR professional leading the diversity, equity and inclusion at Publicis Sapient India. She's been associated with strategic HR efforts, culture and diversity and inclusion for over 14 years now. Vishaka is a passionate, very, very passionate about building community support groups, managing large networks focused on support for women and mothers and single parents. She also mentors organizations and institutions and teams on their diversity and inclusivity journey and manages networks of professionals as well. She's a strong ally for LGBT plus support movement in India and supports advocacy for the community at workplaces. So good to have you with us, Vishaka.
Thank you so much. Really glad to be here. And I can see a lot of participants. Really glad to be in the conversation.
So great. Murli, can we start? I think we got about 60 plus participants right now here. Can we start? I think we should go ahead with this. So I think my first question to all of you, and see, all of us know how the pandemic has hit the industry and especially the diversity workforce and the working women. We all know how things have affected at our own homes. Ladies who used to work out of offices due to lockdown had to go back home, but what they realized when they went back to their home and to take up their jobs back again or work from home like any of us in the IT industry, they had a family still to be taken care of, a kid who did not go to the school, who had to be managed at home with work, and maybe a spouse or a partner who was still working from home. So they actually had to play much more bigger and multiple hats than a woman usually plays, in our society and environment. So I think the first question that I would really put across to, let's say Hema is, how do you think the pandemic has affected the women workforce in India for say?
Okay, somehow you seem to have taken Hema as the first guinea pig there for introduction. I probably joined in first and I asked for it. Well, on a lighter note, let me take the pleasure of answering your question. It's definitely interesting. Pandemic, I think, has hit everybody. It's not only the women, and I think that is the first thing that we need to learn to normalize, right? It's not only the women folk, it's also equally the men who have had to share responsibilities at home, right? And I think equally everybody is partaking, all the things that everybody is going through. I think there's nobody who's been spared out of it, including the kids. In their own way, they go through all of this. But talking about professionally, I think many ways, taking work home and trying to balance work as well as home responsibilities definitely is not an easy thing. At least earlier, it was some kind of a comfort that you're out of home at a particular time and you're back home maybe at a particular time. That is also not a very definite thing, and we all know that is how it is in the corporate world. But at least there was a system. There was, at least home was away from you for some time. But that's not how it is now, right? Just when you're attending a conference call, just when you're doing something, you have to do, something else. You have to attend to someone else, and you have multiple calls happening. Again, your spouse is attending another call, your kids are attending classes, and your maid wants to know something from you. All of this. Ask for it, and you can just go on adding. That's always there. But amidst all of this chaos, right, I think the worst is also the people who lost their jobs. And I think, that is something that we cannot ignore. And that's the worst thing that could have happened to many people. And loss of jobs and loss of, that security and added disturbance in terms of their medical issues and a whole lot of social circumstances that people have to go through. I think that is what is the, most difficult part. While the corporate world has got, probably has not been able to really be there for people who have lost their jobs for definite reasons and for valid reasons as such. What has definitely helped people who are on board is being part of a system which is probably very understanding. And that's exactly where organizations can make a difference, be very understanding of the situation currently. The most used jargon and the cliched word of new normal, being very sensitive of that and understanding of the situation of people, irrespective of men or women, that they are living in a very different world, may have made their homes their offices. So there can be disturbances, there can be challenges. Accepting and normalizing, I think that is, something that we need to be really aware of. And that's where we can play a difference. That's where we can play a role. That is exactly where I will call the organizations to really, call out for themselves and be there for their people and say, this is exactly where we can make a difference. We will be very understanding. There is flexibility, there is understanding. And it's okay for you to sit on a conference call with your baby on your lap, right? Yeah. We've had people like that. I think that's fantastic. And that's the beauty of it all. But to specifically answer your question, Ramit, the pandemic has definitely played the worst in many people's lives and has been a very challenging situation for everyone equally, including the institutions and organizations. It's not been easy for them also to manage that flexibility, as we call it. To what extent is the flexibility? Where do we draw a line when it is deliverable and where it is flexible, right? I think that is also very, very thin line that we can't handle, and we need to really, we're struggling to manage that as well, right? So that's my take on that one. I leave it to the rest of them to share their thoughts.
Thanks a lot, Hema. Very interesting perspective. Gauri, Vishakha, Veda, would any of you want to add anything to this? I think Hema gave it a very good start.
I think Hema summarized it very well, how it started and where we should take it. So it was kind of double shift for women. They were already doing it one shift, and then there was additional work, which has not ended as yet, because many families, especially in Mumbai, they have still not asked their maids to resume work because of fear and various other things, because there are no vaccines for kids as yet. So it's still happening. And at the same time, they have to go to work. And trains are also not working. So for women, as we say, when things get hard, women are hit hardest. Yeah. That's what this pandemic showed us. But organizations need to come forward. I did not see much empathy in this case, because if a woman was not online at the right time, or she had to get out for a while because her kid needs help, I did not see a lot of empathy coming out, not only, I would say, in work setup, but even in family. It was like you are at home full time and you need to manage everything, whatever is available on earth. So this thing has to start from home, I believe, because what is organization? It's set of people, and we carry our beliefs, our thought processes from home, and we show it there in the organization. We do wear masks, even before the COVID one. but the personality remains the same, the thought process remains the same. So it has to change at home first, and then it can be carried in the organizations. This is what I would say, and would invite others to share their thoughts.
Very true. Yeah. Veda, you want to add on anything?
Yeah, so I agree with Hema and Gauri's points, very, very valid points, and they covered most of it. It has been a challenging time for everybody, for sure. So giving it also a little, a bit of a positive spin here is that as much as it's caused a lot of disturbances in many people's lives, it is also given a different outlook to most people and most organizations as well. Even organizations which have previously not looked at remote working, who did not think that co-located or remotely located workforce was a possibility, they're now rethinking their approach, right? That strategic rethinking of how our focus should be, that has given opportunities to a lot of organizations, a lot of people, and it has also allowed parents and generally people to have more family time. A lot of our employees in CloudThink have moved back with their parents. They're working with their parents, and they say that, you know what, it's so liberating. I don't have to think about where is my next food is going to come from. It's all been taken care of, and I feel so good. So that is a slightly different way of looking at things. And even people who have previously not, especially people who have taken a break to care for a child or for a relative at home, they now think that if companies are open to remote working, maybe this is an opportunity for me to try it out. In spite of all the difficulties that people are facing, there is a silver lining, and there is something positive, and complete change of outlook coming for both organization and people. That's what I think.
Great, great. Vishakha, any conclusive comment from your side on top of that?
I'm feeling a little bad because everything that had to be said has almost been said, except that when I was thinking about it, I needed to bring something that's a little more heavier. But then I think this is a topic on inclusion, and we should be aware of certain realities of life. So I agree that when things get hard, women do get hit harder, and there are loads of positives that have come up. It is not just, however, the loss of jobs this year, the loss of spouse. That has also hit people, and of course the number of women who've actually been left without livelihood partners has also gone up higher. But if you remember, I always say that people who stay at home come to work, right? And hence, why am I bringing this in context is because the news articles on the rise of domestic violence, the news articles on the rise of unplanned pregnancies and others have also not gone away.
Yeah.
It's also something that we all need to remember, that these are things that happen at home in the background for a woman, as we also look, and these are not going to be very small numbers, right? So when we look at what has been the effect of pandemic on women as a community, that also needs to be noted.
No, and I think that's a very valid point, which is not very popular when we talk about the impacts, but I think that's a global phenomena, because these things are common across the globe, irrespective of whether it's Bangladesh or India or US or Europe or the Latin countries and all. And I think what has also affected is a lot of factories and garment production sites and all, where it was typical women who used to, go there and be active and earn the living for their families, their kids. I think that's where they have been the most affected ones, while IT industry still has been able to sail through to a good extent. What I also see in my own teams and my own floors is, I think industries have also learned that work from home does not affect your productivity. In fact, in the IT scenario, all of us are aware, and we all know that maybe we are delivering more than ever before. I mean, even the time that we used to spend on the traffic and driving and all is also being invested somewhere, either for office work or task. But let's start this, I think this circle all over again. So being the leaders, diversity leaders of the industry, what are the typical thoughts that women should have before they take a break, which could be planned or unplanned, or let's say it's a deliberate break that they have to take? What are the things they should really keep in mind before actually going for a break? So I think I'll let Gauri, start on this. Yeah.
Yeah, should Vishakha go first this time? I guess so. Yeah, Vishakha.
Okay. So if you ask me, there is a concept of what is called free choice. So when somebody needs to think about going on a break, I am hoping that that is a free choice and not something that's not an option. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you are somebody who doesn't have that free choice, please ask yourself, are there ways in which you can exercise a choice if you do not wish to take the break, to have something as your cover, so that you don't have to take the break if you don't want, right? So have you checked all your options? Have you asked people for what you will need? So I always, as a mental health professional, as a counselor and coach, I also tell people, make dreams out of experiences you want to have, not out of things that you want to have, right? So if the experience is that, yes, I wish I can be a hands-on mother and a professional, are there options which you can do both? What are the challenges? Are there ways to outsource something and work on those challenges? And this has completely not come from external wisdom. This is my own experience, right? My son is now 12 years old, and the time that I was thinking of having a family, I really had a glorious career. I did not know how a mother will actually balance both, and I had the mother's guilt too. I remember speaking to, but then I actually changed jobs to be in an organization that was called Women Friendly, where I did not understand what is being women friendly, right? This is, more than a decade back. And then I had somebody who was my counselor and coach who had had 2 kids. And as she had her second child, she came back after a second break, but not a break from office. It was more like a sabbatical, gradual return. And she told me something that I'm going to share because it was so powerful that it, took me, it made me stay on course. And that was that nobody can give 24 hours to somebody else. You have certain hours of quality time that you actually give to somebody, even if it's your child. You will sleep for some time. You will do some chores for yourself. You will do some chores for home, right? So if you are looking at quality time and being a hands-on person for your child, can you figure out how many hours you will give and figure out the rest of the time? So it was basically, she made it look like a time management challenge. And I did that. And I did not focus on a promotion. I did not focus on great ratings at some point of time, although thankfully it was all good. But I just focused on how I will work and how I will keep sane. And I outsourced everything I could except for being a very hands-on mother. So I was actually known to be a very hands-on mother. In fact, when I was a new mother, maybe a mother of a toddler, I remember another place where a lot of people take a break, or they lose out on the career path, is when there are networking meetings and you can't get out. And this is pre-COVID times, right? And I used to actually carry my child to some of the networking meetings. I would work from home that day, so the morning I've been productive, and in the evening I've taken my child to some of these meets, which are really meet and greet and dinner outside or something. And that's how I tided over. So I'm going to recommend that to everyone. Please look at all your choices and then take a decision.
Very good. I mean, these are very passionate experiences that we got from you, Vishakha. Veda, Gauri, any of you wants to add on to this?
Yeah, I'll go next. If somebody in the audience is looking to take a break and is thinking of whether going on a break is the right thing for you, then Vishakha has already answered that. Don't think for yourself, be true to yourself. Absolutely right. Once you have made up your mind, then what do you prepare for? Just be prepared to handle people, right? There are a lot of people out there who are ready to pass different judgments without knowing your particular situation. They will say, why are you taking a break? Why are you not taking a break? How long are you taking a break for? Is this all? Is this too much? So be prepared to answer questions honestly, and in some cases be prepared not to answer questions as well. Okay, smile and move on. Okay, so if you have taken the decision, stick to your decision, be true to yourself, and don't let others either influence or bully you into doing what is not right for you. Okay, and be honest with yourself about why you are taking that break. Your break could be for, in most of the cases when it comes to women, it's due to caring, either caring for your child, caring for somebody else in your family. Most of your cases, that's what it is. But there are other cases as well. You could be burnt out and you think that you want a break. You could want to look and do something else, change your career path, and you want to take a break so that you can align yourself. So think to yourself, what is it really why you are taking a break? And then make sure that you are honest with yourself about why you are taking a break, and know that when you are ready to come back, whenever that is, there will be opportunities. At any point of time there will be opportunities, and prepare to network. Just because you're taking a break does not mean that you isolate yourself. And if you at any point of time want to come back, then continue to network with people. Vishaka gave a really good point, right? So you are not going to give 24 hours a day to somebody else. There are times when you have for yourself, no matter what is the reason why you're taking a break. Use some of that time to keep in touch with people who you already know, who you already worked with, and give some time to network with new people as well. This is what is going to tell you when it is the right time to come back. When it is the right time to come back, it will tell you. And also when you come back, it will also give you the opportunity to leverage on the networking that you have done. And this is something that people don't always talk about. Before you take a break, understand the break's impact on your finance. It's very, very important, right? So if you're not sure about where you stand financially, where your family stands financially, then you will be forced to come back at a time when you are not ready because of financial pressures. And if you understand that, then you can get in your head exactly, okay, you know what, I can manage for 2 more years, my family can manage for 2 more years, or I can manage for 5 years. And you are mentally prepared for both the break and the return back to the break. So these are some thoughts from me.
Very good. Thanks, Veda. Gauri, you want to add anything?
Before Gauri goes, I'm sure she'll have very valid points, so I'll let her conclude.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add on to what Veda and Vishaka mentioned. I think it was more on the free choice, right? I think that is such a powerful word.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we need to keep in mind. And I'm just going to share my personal experience before Gauri can conclude this. Why I think that is very, very important is also because it's individual situation, and we know our situations the best, and we are the best people to take a call whether a break is good for us or continuing and managing it is good for us. And in my own very situation, right, I took this very important decision just about a year ago of not taking my maternity break, and that is a big thing. Of course, yes, it is because of various situations. That was a new job for me, and it was a new role for me. And for me, I was like, yes, I want to be a hands-on mother. Lockdown is there. I'm going to be working from home. There are a lot of positives. And do I need a break at this point in time? I had to evaluate against, what is it that I'm going to lose by taking this break for about 6 months in a new role? What is it that I'm going to lose? And what is it that I'm going to lose on not being with my baby? So do I have that kind of support system? I had to evaluate all of that. And I only decided that, yeah, my organization was very, very supportive. I told them that I will be taking some flexible time and all of that, but I mean, eventually that doesn't happen, and that's a different thing in our roles. But it beautifully worked out. I think that is one decision that I will never ever regret, that I didn't take my maternity. And today my baby is going to turn 1. I mean, just about next week. I'm so glad that without a maternity break, tided over so beautifully in my new role, and everything went so beautifully. I mean, if you can make it happen, I think that's. I mean, try and grab those opportunities that can help you rather than losing it out. And while we say this, our intention is not to discourage people who have to and should be taking a break. If they have to, let them. I mean, that is their choice, right? But if you can, we can manage it and we can make it happen. That is also something that I just wanted to share. And with that, over to you, Gauri.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well said by all three speakers. And I will bring in my own experience and 2 perspectives here. So for me, 2 breaks happened within 4 years of my career. I started from a small town and I came to Mumbai after my maternity break. So the going was extremely difficult. I really found it challenging because employers would not trust me, thinking that I have been to 4 different states in last 4 years. Total career experience 4 years and break of 2 years. How would you manage, and no skills? And this was more than a decade ago. But despite that, we create possibilities for ourselves, and we bring up those situations, we bring up those skills, and we finally do things for ourselves. So this is one aspect of it, one perspective, that if you have to take a break, if you have taken that decision, like Veda said, that once you have taken that decision, don't feel guilty about it. World is not going to end because you have taken a break, and you are going to make a mark for yourself. You can take my example. So it happens, even if there are 2 breaks, it would work out, and people have done it beautifully. Now, second aspect which everybody brought out, and that is more important in today's time, why go for a break when it is manageable with other stuff? Like you can ask for a short time working or pay cut along with working fewer hours, or you can go for certain things which can be managed from home. Lot many roles have moved to work from home, even outside IT. That can be managed, or you can start something else. I saw a few women who took break in this particular timing, and then they went into content creation. So they were still employed, but they were having this break also from their regular routine. They would like to go back. There were people who were earlier employed with organizations who were offering these kind of facilities. But now when everybody has started doing it, they are going back to their old organizations. So even this is happening. So first thing, decide what is that you want. Would you be feeling guilty if you don't take break? Or would you be having a negative mindset if you think that I should always be working, and that is much more important for me? And that's where self-awareness comes into picture, because we think that we know ourselves, but that's not the reality. Research says that 90% of us don't know ourselves well, and it did happen with me also. When I took break, I was like, okay, I have to take care of my daughter, and people told me you can't keep your daughter anywhere. But when I came to Mumbai, I saw that 3 months child is also very well taken care of in the daycare. And I thought, oh, I shouldn't have done it. So these kind of things should not come to our mind once we have taken a decision. And that's why have that self-awareness first. What do you want to do? And once you decide, go ahead with it, be it taking a break or be it working continuously in a different role with short hours, whatever. So this is how I would conclude this break part.
Thanks a lot, Gauri. And I think we had some very incredible opinions and very good experiences. And I think it's as long as it's your own free choice and you take a right decision and don't let anybody else judge it for you, and feel proud of, the decision that you have taken. I think it really makes totally sense. So I think I just move on to the next question that we have for today is, let's say we have taken a break, how to remain confident of coming back, and what would you recommend, suggest, to somebody who's taken a break to remain actually insane, confident, positive about coming back? What are the things to be sure of when you take a break and you're also sure that you want to come back someday? So Veda, you want to take it up?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
not a problem. This kind of, correlates with what we spoke about. Just like how you have to be sure and make sure that it is your decision to take a break, coming back should also be your decision. If you're, don't get pressured, don't get influenced, don't feel that, what, I have to get back in there and come back for the right reasons, right? I myself, as an example, if there are situations when I get really stressed and I want to say, you know what, I think I need a longish break. Okay. But then after about 2 weeks, it gets the itchy feeling that I want to get into the thick of things. So you need to feel that, you need to want to be back. Okay. And when you are coming back, don't expect to come back, especially if you have taken a long break. Don't expect to come back at the same level that you were before you took the break. You could have taken a break for childcare. You could have taken a break, just to realign yourself for whatever reasons. Okay. Those situations, they may have gone down in intensity, they are fully not out of it. Accept that, and don't expect to come back at the same intensity as you were before your break. Okay. And start setting slightly lower goals for yourself. Don't take on too much, because you may be raring to go, you may have the enthusiasm to go, and accept that you may have to reduce your scope a little bit. Keep your focus on one or two things and do it absolutely right, and then move on as you gain more and more confidence. So the lesser your area of focus is, the more you're going to do better at it, and the more confidence you gain, and then you can let your wings spread out, fly, whatever. Okay. So be prepared for that. And one of the things a lot of women, in fact, I was reading about this, and there was a survey about people who took a career break, and they polled and asked, how confident do you feel coming back? 57% of women said that they feel they are not confident enough to return back to work. So when you feel that way and you have an identity crisis, so to speak, put yourself, if you have kids, put yourself in as a parent. If your child has a play, or they have to get in front of a class and they have to speak, and they are like, mama, I'm nervous, what would you tell them? You would tell them that it's really important to just try. Okay. And play to your strength, be positive. This is exactly what we tell our kids, right? And imagine yourself in that situation. Close your eyes and say that to yourself, saying that, you know what, why don't I just try it? If it doesn't go the way I wanted, at least I have the confidence that, you know what, I have gone and tried it. Okay. And very, very important, the first step in boosting your confidence in coming back is coming to this webinar. It's really important to have that community and people around you who whether they boost your confidence or not, that you're not alone. You're not the only person who's feeling like, okay, can I do this? If other people also have similar thought, and that in itself can have a calming effect for you. Okay, this is not just me, everybody feels that way, and there are people who have overcome it. Listen to success stories, and that's really, really important. So my top tip to people generally who are looking to come back is uh, decide whether it's the right time. Okay. understand that if you're feeling uncertain, everybody else will be feeling the same way too. And once you pull yourself out and you are ready to come back, make sure that you start small. Okay, keep your focus area, do one or two things well, and then move on to bigger and better things. Okay, so that's me. I would love to hear other people's opinion, because they have taken a break. They have encouraged people who have taken a break to come back. I would like to hear from them.
Yeah, thanks, Veda. Very valid points. Hema, Vishaka, you want to add on?
Yeah, definitely. I think very interesting points mentioned by Veda. However, we need to be a little more, should I say, aware that people who take break are not only women. Men also take a break, and for various reasons, right? I think we need to acknowledge the very fact that the list of participants today is really surprising, that we have so many men on the call. And I'm like, yeah, we need to acknowledge them as well. And they also need this. There are also people who have taken a break for various reasons. And let's acknowledge their efforts as well. So it's not only about, I was recently interviewing a candidate last week, and he was almost about to join, but he called it off only because he wanted to be there for his mother's care. Likewise, I'm just telling you, it's not only women, right? It's also men. He was the son, and he was caring for his mother, and he wanted a break, and he chose to take a sabbatical and stay back in his organization. And these are kind of things that can happen, and these are real too. So likewise, with women, there can be other kind of stories as well. People who take a break, but also are very, very sure that they want to come back. And they have a plan for it. They take a break because, okay, I'm not having a baby. I need to spend time at home. I need to, pay attention to myself. I need to care for myself. I'll take a break. I'll have my baby. And I also know of somebody who had a 3-month-old baby in her hand, went to a management school, did her, MBA, and came out as a topper. And she tells me that it was not her who was worried, but the college that was worried, because she was there as a resident student with a baby. Okay, so there are stories of this kind as well. So it's all about knowing, where am I going, and do I have a plan for it, right? So if a sabbatical is going to help me, great. Take a sabbatical, attend to your immediate cause, come back. If you're going to take a break, okay, I have a particular cause, and along with that, I will put my effort to stay relevant. I'll get my certifications. I'll still be connected with my group. I'll still be connected with, whatever is happening around. It could be virtual webinars, or I'll still learn. I'll still add, certifications onto myself, or I'll attend a program parallelly. And then when I come back at the same level or with a bang. And here is where I say, people don't have to actually compromise when they come back. They can come back better. And they can definitely bargain better. So that is also, a story that we need to remember, and that can also happen. Here is where we all, as individuals, also as individual, professionals, in whichever space we are working in, have a role to play to keep the people who are going on a break also relevant. I'll give you my example. I have a group, women network group. I mean, it's just on a WhatsApp, but I still love to stay connected with them. Though not much may not be happening on it, I still like to keep them together. This is a wonderful group of all people whom I have loved working with throughout in my many different companies. I want to stay connected. I want to be with them. Some of them have taken a break. Some of them are still doing very well. They are going places. Well, everything together, but it's a women's network. The purpose of it is to stay relevant, share and care, and make it happen. You want a reference of a wonderful, should I say, a cake baker? We will share that. Do you want a reference of a job that is happening? We will share that. If somebody asks a question on, can somebody help me with a competency mapping project? Okay, let's see, we can get together and talk about it. Okay, all that. I mean, be there, available to support somebody who's in need in a professional way. I mean, that is important. Keep them relevant. Have your own affinity groups. Help them come back. And that's my take. With that, I pass it on to Vishaka or
Vishaka,
Gauri.
you wanna? Yeah, great point. Thank you so much. Vishaka, you wanna add on? Yeah.
So I took a break really to take care of my mother, and not for maternity or for my child. So the break I did not take for my child, I did for my mother, because I think she needed a little more attention, and I thought that if I don't do this now, I'll probably regret it. Now, what did I do in that, and it was a year because somehow it took me a little longer to get back than I had initially thought. But it is at that point of time that whatever leftover time I had on my hands and bandwidth, I actually volunteered to do some work. And that volunteering to do an extra work, which was really, I volunteered for an LGBTQI collaborative, changed my life, changed the course of my career. And that's what you will see, my allyship work has actually taken over much more visibility than, the rest of the work that I was doing at some point of time. Having said that, I've also seen this work for another very dear friend of mine on a career break. So while she took a 7 years career break, she would do these freelance assignments. And this was again, time that she would have in between on content, on something else. And when she came back, due to a very unfortunate incident, she was able to first get back to her job within 15 days and then rise in that job, right? Because she was a career returnee, sometimes we have these extremely ridiculous, horrible experiences of people asking you absolutely irrelevant questions, or judging you for having taken the break and judging you for trying to come back. Thankfully, if you're able to show something that you've been able to do in between, I think it does wonders for your CV and for yourself. Because I'm telling you, even if a company is, waiting for you with open hands to join as a career attorney, which a lot of companies are, it's your confidence which will hinder. And obviously, if somebody's not been doing X thing, to start doing that, you will not feel very confident, right? We can't say that, just work on your confidence. It doesn't work automatically like that. So I would say utilize the time that you have and the bandwidth that you have to do something productive, whatever your heart thinks is right and whatever you feel like doing. It will keep you kind of in the groove. And, like Hema said, I am a huge believer of connections. I think connections are very important. One, for your mental health. Second, to keep you in the right stride. Third, to keep you, motivated, right? So I would absolutely recommend that.
No, that's a very valid point. And I think, see, I being a recruitment leader or recruitment guy, I know that when you keep yourself busy with the passion that you follow, despite you have taken a break, and you stay connected to the right network. And I think we all live in a world where it's not difficult to stay connected to the latest things happening around us. I mean, there's a lot of technology around us. And I think these are not the times where you need a mentor or a professional training to keep yourself abreast with the latest skills. And as long as you're able to prove that you have been passionate enough, keeping that passion and whole fire alive in yourself while you're on a professional break, any recruiter or any recruitment guy or a person would be really happy to take it more confidently, more positively before even creating a perception about you. So I think these are very valid points. And again, I think what you do in that break, definitely, while it's going to keep you more positive, as you said correctly, Vishaka, this is also going to help you in those interviews and present yourself much better, more confidently. And I think in today's times, finally, your confidence and your passion do play a role, apart from the skill that you are trying to prove to anybody. So let's go to the next question. And also, I think I'll be, asking the audiences as well to, put across whatever they want to ask to our jury, to our panel today. Please keep on putting it on the chat box. By the final question from our side, is going to be like, what are the roadblocks that women really, typically face when they want to go, come back to the working world, or they want to bounce back to from where they left? What are the challenges, roadblocks? Some of you have already faced and talked about them. But what are the typical challenges that they face from their side, maybe in their family, society? Some of them, if you want to talk about. So we go to Veda. Veda, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Gauri hasn't started, so let her start.
Let's
I'm absolutely okay for Gauri to start with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think some of it we have already discussed. It's about those kind of limitations or self-limiting beliefs, the stories that we tell ourselves, and we say that I'm not good enough, I would not be able to manage it. And especially for women, it is said that unless they get 100% match with the job role, they would not apply for it. Whereas for men, it's just 60%. So that kind of confidence that they have that they are good, irrespective of what the job demands, is what they do. But for women, it doesn't work out that way. So I think it should start from self, definitely, and then they should discuss it first of all with their partner, because that's very important. Like we were discussing yesterday, and Vishakha said that after hiring them also, there's no guarantee that they will stay back, and their families might pull them back, and that really happens. People do come in the workforce, but they exit because it's unmanageable at home, because they are habituated of having them around, getting things done by them, and they don't want to manage it. So first, clarity should be coming in. There should be a detailed communication on this and plan charted out, that this is how things will work out. This is what I did when I had to step back into the workforce. So that is one thing. And second, after these things are done and women start settling down, this superwoman syndrome comes into picture, and then they would try to do everything on earth. They would want to be 150% because they were on break, so they need to do much more work. And that's the thought process would be. At home also, the kid should be a topper for everything, be it academics or be it extracurriculum, and that guilt. So those things we have to fight first, and these are stages. Like first you fight yourself, then you connect with your family, sometimes fight also to get that way out, and then you move outside and you connect with this outside world and try to figure out what best can be done. But don't be too harsh on yourself. I think self compassion would go a long way when you have to achieve something. And another thing that I see is lack of patience. I am back to workforce. I am not able to get the same level. I am feeling guilty. I am feeling bad about myself. And I'm so impatient that I keep changing jobs. Either that is one thing, or I'm always unhappy about the role that I'm playing. And ultimately, my output is not good. So these things should be avoided. These are some of the blocks that I'm seeing people returning and facing. Over
Very
to
good, Gauri.
others.
Yeah, very nice. Shaka, Hema, anybody?
I think the challenges are many, and I shared that on our call yesterday is that, and just before this session, I actually got a call from one of our cohorts of career attorneys that they are looking for some kind of a counseling help on how do they manage their families. And if you've ever done these discussions with senior women leaders, they will tell you that every time somebody's taken a break, and if they have and they have a story to share, it's never easy to come back. It never is. One, your body has to adjust to it. If you've been a new mother, then that's a bigger challenge. Secondly, I think everybody around you gets used to you having you over, and that's something somebody mentioned. And it's not just it's a psychological break from that. One has to disconnect. It takes a lot of courage, if I can say that. Now, these are challenges, and there are more. And in the lockdown situation, like we've just hired one of the largest batches of career attorneys in our organization, and it was one of the largest tech batches as well. And just then the lockdown, the second wave of the lockdown in 2021 kind of came down. And it is pressure, right? Now you've just started, and then your support system has kind of vanished, right? A friend of mine, articulated this current situation as women have been taken 20 years back, right? Back into the houses. So that is something that is, it's not just housework, it's the psychological pressure of having to cope and telling people that I want to work because I want to work, right? So if you don't have a financial need like that everybody else acknowledges, I think it's a bigger challenge. Now, having said that, what can we do is to continuously remember to provide the support system. So, I think I'm sure we are going to discuss this a lot more, but it is for them to voice. So if the group of people that I'm talking about did not come and tell us that they needed that support, I would be wary of, providing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be nervous to suggest that, but I'm expecting it, right? So I think you should open up and talk about challenges, not in a way that is not resourceful, but in a way that is resourceful, and you're asking for help so that you can do what the organization goal and your own goal is aligned to. So that's something that I would suggest.
Great. Hema, Veda, you want to add on anything?
Yeah, I think I quite agree. Support system It's an integral part of every plan that you make and every move that you make when it comes to your career. So what is the kind of role that I'm going to take? Is it, the distance probably, or do I have support system at home that can take care of things? And because you can't be everywhere. And also in the organization, right? I think there are two things. One is a support system that you build for yourself and an empathetic organization. Right? These are two things that actually can make it more comfortable for people to come back. And this is exactly where we need to do a lot more of work. And I know I was just reading up some of the questions. I'm too early jumping in there. But one of the thought processes, the managers that I'm working with are not very aware or not very sensitive about the fact that I'm a returnee. And how do we make it happen? Is there a training that can be provided? I don't think there is a ready off-the-shelf training that is available, but there is a lot of work that has happened in the area of hiring diverse talent, right? Unconscious bias for that matter. And that came up because there is a need, right? And likewise, I think if there is a plan for an organization that we are going to be going big on hiring returnees into the organization, taking people from career break into the organization, it is also imperative for them to provide a platform or create a cushioning ground for those people who are coming back. But how? By creating relevant training programs, maybe a more customized approach of who are we hiring, what kind of challenges are they bringing along with, and how can we be more empathetic and sensitive around that? How can we create a more workable environment in the organization? I think that is something that we will need to play around with. So this is a two-pronged approach, responsibility both with the candidates and with the organizations to figure out their own way and make it more comfortable for each other.
Great. Thanks, Hema. Veda, you want to add on anything?
Yeah. Absolutely. Just expanding from what Hema said, it is it takes both the sides to acknowledge that this is work that both sides have to work at it, right? I'll take an example. And this was similar to what Vishaka mentioned as well. If the person who's returning back to work does not tell that, what, these are what I can do. I can work these hours, and anything beyond that is not possible for me. And if they are not clear about that, then the organization is not going to know, especially their managers are not going to know that, okay, this is their restriction, right? And it's not just for people who are returning back to work, it's for everybody. For example, during this pandemic time, there is so much other things that everybody needs to take care of, that it's always good to be clear. I'll take an example. In our organization, Clothing, which is always has been very flexible, we have this superwoman. She is technically amazing, really, really good. And with any technology problems, we go to her for solutions. At the beginning of the pandemic, she came and told us, look, this online schooling is wreaking havoc. I have 2 kids, both small, both are taking online classes, and it's just impossible to make them sit and make them, concentrate on anything. And I have to sit with them. My spouse, he is sitting with one of them, and I have to sit with the other. And therefore, my mornings are going to be a little bit of a mess. Okay. So give me time. I will probably not be working, say, until 12:30 in the morning. I'll be on and off. But after that, I will connect and work. And we said, you know what, we totally understand. It's absolutely fine. Do that. And we let her team know that this is what is happening and we should be mindful of that. And when she came back in the second half of the day and she worked, she gave her really fullest, right? And she still continued to be the technical, pivotal point. And unless you say that, you won't know whether the organization is okay with that. So the point is, one, the organization has to portray the culture that, yes, come and tell us, we will really listen to you and we will work with you. And second, the people who are either returning to work or just working, be honest and open about what your limitations are, and know that they will work, your organization will work with them. Do a little bit of research ahead of time. If you're going to return back to work, find what the organization's policies and culture are around that. And that's why having a network is really important, so you can go talk to people. Hey, I'm interviewing for this organization, how flexible are their policies? Or just be open to the HR at the point of recruitment itself. Ask them, you know what, these are my problems, are you willing to work with me around this? Let me know. Okay, so honest communication is always the answer for everything. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it works out and you have asked it, there it is, the problem is done. And that's my take on things. I think we are going to talk about what HR can do about making this more open, so I will leave that out. But for people who are looking to come back to work and what to expect, this is the main point. Be honest with yourself, be honest with your organization, know your limitation, and communicate your limitations to whoever it is, whether it is your manager, whether it is your HR, whoever it is. Communicate that, and it will work out.
Thanks a lot, Vida. Very valid points. And I think, see, while all of us do a lot, and I think there's been a focus on this for a couple of years, lastly, for many years now, and we all have programs which are helping women to come out of break and take up their professions back all over again in whatever they intend to do. And I think even in Genpact, we do have a Career 2.0 program, and there's a Returning Mom program. And I'm sure all of us have these programs in our own organizations. But what else can be done? Or should we really come together as an industry and create some exclusive programs only for this workforce and this talent pool? Any thoughts on that? This is a question that came on the audience as well. How can the industry help to grow this faster or to a larger pool that can be used or given an opportunity to grow faster as an organization and as a workforce or employee base as well? Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, Vishakha, please.
I can go first. So remember how sometimes to launch a product, you have to give some sale and have to do some of these promotions, right? I think career returnee initiatives need to be like that. It is something that you want to do forever, right? It should not need another initiative, but it needs an initiative to change the mindset. So I think, yes, there should be a program, there should be, the whole promotion, and, it should be run as an initiative till whatever is the periodicity you want to do it in an organization, but it needs to become so systemic that in some years you should not need a program. It should be something that you're always hiring career attorneys in a very organic way. And that would be my take. Now organization need to focus on how do we celebrate career attorneys, and and we all know how to do these things, right? How do we establish any value, any new program, any new behavior in an organization? Basically, that's the same change management journey that we have to do. But we need to make it so streamlined and mainstreamed, frankly, that even after your program has attended throughout the year, you are continuously hiring career attorneys, so that people on break, and this is where I'm going to say that people on break, it's a gender agnostic phenomenon, right? So there are men who also take a break for doing a startup or a new role, or it's not worked. And we have men, and I know men within my own organization and others who've taken a break for caregiving. So everybody, it's not something that benefits only women, but in the spirit of equity, I'm hoping that it benefits more women than others. LGBTQI folks, men, everybody. So this should be something that, in some time, the whole bias around hiring a career returnee or career break person should actually go off.
Great points, Vishakha. Any other thoughts, Hema, Veda, Gauri?
Yeah, I would Sorry,
Yeah,
Gauri.
yeah, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, just because it was more in line with what Vishaka mentioned, right? From a corporate level, I see that the best way forward and the best step for us to take is making a conscious effort. Be believing that this is exactly what we want to do and doing everything that is right about it. It could be, as simple as okay, diversity hiring for that matter. It needs to be a conscious effort right from getting the right kind of profiles and giving it to the hiring manager, because based on the profiles you give them is what they will hire. They will easily say, oh, you gave me these profiles, I hired them. I didn't make a choice of who I hired, you gave me the choice, right? So it is also with the HR to ensure that we are giving them the diverse profiles for them to be able to hire a diverse kind of talents. And that's exactly what I mean by saying conscious effort. And if that has to be a conscious effort, even career returnees has to be a conscious effort. Here is where organizations will have to take a conscious decision making and say that yes, we will, for these many roles, we will make a hiring of like conscious effort of hiring 10% talent or from a returnee talent. And how do we tap? Where can we find these returnees? Connect with those affinity groups, connect with those networking groups. If it is already there, there are people. I mean, there are people who are connecting within their own, pool and their own connects. How do we tap those talents? I think that is exactly what is very, very important. And here again, I would like to bring our attention to another huge talent pool which is not tapped. And I don't know if there is any kind of a network happening there, and I'm sure there must be. We have to make an effort. This is for the people who are taking a break because they don't have a choice. They're trailing their spouses who are going abroad for a job, and huge technical talent and huge, really well performing people whom organizations have lost. Where have they gone? They are neither here nor there. They can't get work permit. They can't work abroad. They can't work in India. So where and how do we tap this talent? I mean, I think not only organizations should come up with policies. I think even governments will have to come up with policies to tap this, and make this happen. How do we make things easy for people to work from anywhere? We are talking about remote working, but is the world ready for that kind of remote working? I don't think the government policies or labor laws are that very convenient for us to hire people from anywhere and everywhere and make it convenient for them to work. If that was the case, probably we would have retained a lot of our talent which we have lost, for their personal reasons like these, right? Yeah. So that's my take on it. I think conscious efforts is what I will stick to.
I think brilliant thoughts from Vishaka and Hema. And I would take a step back here. Why do we let them go? First of all, if it is because of maternity, especially, or if it is movement to other city, not country, because there are like Hema rightly mentioned, there are so many constraints there. Some of the small organizations are doing it. They allow these people to take time off and then come back, even if they have to quit. Then they are in touch with them, and then in a year or 2 or 3, they make sure that they are back. So this is one thing which we can do. And then another thing is we should educate managers that what these people are bringing to table. What kind of transferable skills are there which you will not get in this person. Somebody going out for starting up, they bring in a lot of skills which are required for the organization, but we don't value them. We say that you were out of system for so long and you don't know how to operate. You will not be successful in this role. So this hiring for skills or hiring for potential, it's a debate already going on, but it is equally important here as well that we are able to show that transferability of skills and thus make it possible for managers to accept them. These are some of the suggestions that I would bring to table.
Thanks a lot, Gauri. And I think this is a very, I think while we all are very much open about it, and I think a lot of it has to also do with the roles that we play in our, day-to-day life and the organization. And we know the organizational focus and, this is obviously one favorite agenda for every organization right now. But I think this is a very interesting question that the hiring managers who do the first rounds or the final rounds of the interviews, they may not be aligned so well as all 5 of us are aligned today, to this whole thought and this talent pool which is left untapped, and maybe this actually, needs a lot of support from all of us. What else can be done to ensure that even the people who keep on rejecting these women who want to come back or bounce back, because they look for a typical skill set or a skill combination, or there's a client role or client requirement to be fulfilled, what are your thoughts about these kind of scenario? This came from an from an audience, today? Yeah.
So I want to take this up, and it is both an answer and a question. Okay, so you mentioned something that the hiring managers are the first people to talk to a person and a potential candidate, and the last person to convert that candidate into an employee when they talk. Okay, so when there is a person involved, no matter how much you try it, there is a little bit of bias that creeps into a person. It's a human nature, right? You are trying to fulfill a particular position. There is a specific requirement for it, and you have opened it up commonly for everybody. Okay, and you are getting resumes. As a recruitment person yourself, Ramit, when you are looking at a resume which is completely stacked with a relevant experience, and when you are looking at a resume which has had 1-2 breaks, and or the last experience is a break and coming out of a break, obviously as a person who's looking at it, this bias creeps in, right? So I was looking at it and I was thinking, is it even possible to have a blind recruitment? Don't look for resumes, don't ask for resumes, throw out a questionnaire. Okay, technical, if it is a technical role, you send out a questionnaire. Okay, and then get back the answers. Once you get back the answers, look at what kind of answers you have gotten back, and then possibly have another round of blind interviews. Again, don't look at the resumes, see who is the right person, and then hire them. That is it even possible? Is it practical? Okay, that is one question. The second thing is it fair to expect that a person who is continuously working and has probably kept up to date, and a person who has taken a break and looking to come back in the same level, is it fair? We almost all of the organizations run grad programs. They hire interns and convert them into employees. They hire grads, put them in a training path, and then convert them into employees. There are a lot of organizations, big organizations, who are doing returnships, which is what we are talking about, where they run specific internship programs for returning to work women, men who are returning to work person. And can we have, if we really want organizations to improve on and encouraging people to return back to work, should we have then a normal stream of recruitment and a return to work position? So I will actually hire only people returning to work, and I will hire the best out of them. Is that possible? So there are two questions that I'm throwing out here: a blind interview and a return to work specific interview. Is both possible? Which one would yield the best results?
That's a very, very interesting suggestion. And I think I just love that whole concept of interviewing people without even seeing their profile. I think that's a very valid and a very, very good suggestion. Any other thoughts, Hema, Gauri, Vishaka? I think we are just on the fag end of it, and I think we'll just start finding it out very quickly. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Please keep on writing them. We'll just take one or two more questions, then we'll wind it up. Yeah, please, Hema.
I think this is where we have this whole, I'll bring in the concept of equality versus equity. So equality, if I can run an analogy through the traffic junction. So when you have the signal, red light, red, blue, green, what am I saying? Red, yellow, green, right?
We have been in a lockdown for so long that we have forgotten what the signal lights are, Vishaka.
Yes, that's right. So when it is red, it's red for everyone. When it's yellow for everyone on one side. And when it's green for I think that is equality, right? when we look at a career returnee graph and, you know, certain underrepresented groups in our workplaces, I think this is where the concept of equity comes in. This is why in a traffic analogy, we make the cycling tracks, right? We make tracks for buses. We make, you know, special bike parking spaces, or community, you know, you have these community vehicle spaces, etc., right? This is to do what? This is to, you know, ensure that there is a pathway for people who are underrepresented, who are not, to get that access to the traffic, you know, lights, right? So for career returnees, and especially those who are marginalized, like women who are on career breaks, I think, you know, what we had done in Publicis Sapient was to streamline the process of hiring, which made it easier. So you were not going through, it's not just the reduction in number of rounds, but reduction in the number of rounds that your CVs changed hands, right? There was a program and there was a lot of, you know, fanfare around it, saying that, you know, we are going to do this. Are you going to join us in doing this or not? And it created an aspirational notion within the hiring managers to say, okay, let me just do this, right? We celebrated the fact that we took one of India's largest batches of career returnee. So, you know, people from now on actually feel that they want to be a part of it, because next they would like to see their names on that board where people were, you know, this thing. So I think certain additional measures is definitely required to ensure that these, you know, career returnees come back to work. And of course, you know, there are more, but this was something that I wanted to mention. There was one more thing that I think hiring is easier. Integration and giving them a sense of belonging is more difficult. So in our organization, what we had done is the program management team, the core team, was actually filled with people who were either back from maternity breaks very recently, have very young children, or were career returnees themselves, because that's when the empathy and the acknowledgement of challenges that we will encounter came in. So into that sense, every week there is a little bit of a group discussion. So if the group just comes by, even if for 15 minutes, to say hello, hi, okay, this is how I'm doing. And, you know, of course, with every organization, we will also do the learning gaps and, you know, the learning support, etc. But we also have a mentoring support and we have a buddy support. These are two different people aligned individually to every candidate who came in. Right? So every one of our colleagues is there. So when I mentioned that I just came out of a, you know, I just got this notice that people would like to get some counseling help on how to manage their family, and, you know, which means that there are more people demanding it. It came from one of those weekly connects, right? So I think to please focus on the integration once the hiring, the first bit is done.
Yeah, that's a good point, Vishaka. So what you're saying is it needs to come from the organization. It needs to be an organization push to say that we will hire, we'll have a special hiring measure for these people. We will have special programs to integrate them, and we will have a special support group to make sure that they succeed. And that's when this process will happen well. If you are thinking that, you know what, we will hire and it will work itself out, it you know, it may or may not fail. You are throwing up in the air and you are hoping that something will come down. So having organizational level you know, change in thought process and making sure that they align it is absolutely important. It needs to come from there.
Very true, Veda. So any conclusive comments from Gauri and Hema?
Yeah,
I think,
I would like to add that this takes me to my engineering days. When I used to look at my class being a computer engineer, it was full of women. But there was another classroom nearby, mechanical engineering, and they had only women. But today, if we see, so many shop floors are full of women. So how they have done it? It's like when I started in my career with this diversity agenda, it was equally difficult that time as well. But today we have accepted this, and managers have also accepted that this is how we have to do. You stop giving them any profile which is not a diversity profile, and things become easy. So likewise, here also we have to take a step forward and bring in some policies and some support system for this cause as well. And definitely this will happen. I think manufacturers have exemplified beautifully, and this will definitely work very, very well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Gauri. Hema, your final words?
Yes, definitely. I think, you know, we take a cue from all the, you know, wonderful people who have shared their thoughts here. Some of the things that we have picked up at GEA is that we have started making very conscious efforts and started connecting with the network groups that have this kind of talent with a very, very, should I say, very clear intent of getting, the people who are on break back on track and, help them come back. And definitely with that will come a lot of assimilation programs and all of that. That is something that we are working on. And another interesting thing that we have started is like, Veda or Gauri mentioned, right? Why let them go at all? So, let's have a mentoring kind of a program when people are exiting. Let us spend time talking to them and making them really understand, do they really want to go on a break? Can they manage? Can we give them a better opportunity of taking a prolonged break and probably come back, like maybe sabbaticals and, really customized solutions which works for them and us. We have currently worked on many solutions like that, and which has helped us retain some diverse talents as well. And add to that, we are also working on creating an alumni group of people who have exited for reasons that we couldn't probably control and they couldn't control. But there is always a channel that they can communicate with us, they can stay connected, and if there's an opportunity, they can always come back. That would be really wonderful. So, an extended family kind of a thing, that is something that we are working on, and hopefully, G Appliances will make big on this.
Thank you.
So that's
Yeah.
great, Hema. You are absolutely right. So we at CloudThink actually have a alumni connect where we get them to come at least once a month and hang out with. Because it is now all virtual, it's even easier because you are hanging out online, and whether they are working elsewhere or whether they are within. Taking a break, whatever, we connect them because that provides the community. They can talk about it, and if they are thinking to come back, and if they are constantly in touch with the organization, either with us or with anybody else, then they can keep one talk about tech talks, etc., and keep themselves up to date, and also have the connect. So if they are thinking of coming back, they know who to reach out to, right? If they have lost that connect, they may not know that, hey, let's go to Veda and talk to her about coming back to CloudThink. It takes that step. But if every month on a regular basis you are connecting with her anyways to have a cup of coffee and talk about world news, then you can just say, hey, I'm now thinking. It makes it so much more easier. So absolutely right. Providing that opportunity is really, really important.
Thanks a lot, Veda. And I think in that case, the integration is going to be much more simpler and easier when you go back to the same place. And by then, you actually don't lose the talent to any other company. Even if they want to come back after a break, you'll be the first choice that they would want to try it out with. But thank you so much, everyone. And I think thanks to all of you, it's been a very personally enriching, enlightening journey for me, myself, as a part of this group today. And thanks a lot, SheEngine, Moodly, for creating this platform where they actually create opportunities for women to apply to exciting opportunities, also measure themselves, where do they stand right now to pick up certain opportunities and how to upskill themselves. And so thanks to SheEngine for this platform and also for this opportunity and for running these enriching webinars. And I think we'll just close it with these final words. But thanks again. Thanks all of you. And thanks to the audience for coming together for this. Moodly, any final word from you?
I think fantastic. Thank you, Ramit, for moderating very nicely. I think thank you all, Veda, Hema, and Gauri, and definitely to Vishaka. So I think as rightly just said, Ramit, we are already working with most of the firms in the industry and helping them various things, not just hiring, but as Vishaka mentioned and Veda mentioned, I think there is integration part, so that we are really concentrating a lot more. Thank you all. Thank you all for your support, and we're going to do a lot more things in the industry.
Just one last thing, Murli. I was wondering if the audience had any question. I just wanted to let them know they could reach out to us directly, or if there is time now, we could take one or two.
There is a little bit of time. I was just messaging Murli about it. There are some questions from the audience, most of which we as part of our conversation have already answered. But it will be good to read the questions out and answer them if we can.
Correct. So yeah, Ramesh, you want to pick
So
up?
I did cover them. I actually covered them. I think there's one from Kanaya, which actually talks about what about the ladies or women who had to take a break and they're not in the metros, in the big towns, they are in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, so what I think industry is still not doing enough for them, or maybe they don't have the same opportunities as a lady or a woman putting up in a metro or a big town. So what can the industry do, and how should they prepare themselves to actually come out of their break and take up something all over again, So that's one thing that we could not cover. I think rest all we covered in our various questions. Yeah.
At Publicis Sapient, we actually opened up our recruitment to about 23 BN, tier 2, tier 3 cities. In fact, I've been doing some of the core values interviews for our people because we are ramping up. And I'm speaking to somebody. I spoke to somebody from Ahmedabad today, from somebody in Cochin, somebody in some town of Bihar. And so I think the organizations need to get smarter about this, because if we are not going to open our doors to talent from every corner, we are not going to be able to fill our talent needs at the right time, at the right price point. So I think once you open it up to everybody, it will also open up to women for sure.
I'd like to add there similar thoughts. GE also has kind of broken boundaries to say that why should we hire people only in places where we have offices? Why can't we have people anywhere else, working from anywhere else? So remote working or flexible work environment is what we are very strongly considering, and we are still, should I say, toying with the idea of how and what this means to us. Can somebody sitting in Srinagar, Jammu, somewhere else work for us? I think it's already happening now. So why can't we make it a permanent arrangement? So that is something that we are working on, and maybe with that we should be able to hire people also from anywhere in India at least now.
That's a great point, Hema. At Clothing, we have already announced that you can work from anywhere, and for the reasons that you mentioned, not outside of India because there are legal implications and other things. But as long as it is within India, we've already announced that you can work from anywhere. So, going back to Kanaya's question regarding what do these people who have taken a break in tier 3 cities, this virtual environment has given you a lot of avenues to connect with people and understand what you can learn online. So there are immense amount of wealth of knowledge that are available in whatever chosen career path that you have. A little bit above, somebody has asked, I'm just returning from break. How do I determine what career path to choose? That is, it is your passion. What do you feel passionate about? Do you feel passionate about technology? Do you feel passionate about creative writing? Do you feel passionate about HR? What do you feel passionate about? The right career path, whether you are returning back from break or whether you are starting new, is always to ask yourself what excites you, what interests you, and then finding information online or finding people either virtually or physically who can guide you with that, who can answer your question, and then learning. And there was one point that Vishaka mentioned, volunteering. When she had a break, she had volunteered, and that really helped her decide what is the path that she wants to take when she comes back. So irrespective of where you are from, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, doesn't matter. You can now take up volunteer positions and upskill yourself. Figure out whether that path is the right path for you, whether your passion is still with you, and then use that as an opportunity to bring yourself up. So a pandemic has given us a lot of bad things, but at the same time it has also given us a lot of opportunities. Like I said, it has changed the organization mindset of our office is in this location. Can you come here? Can I actually do interviews if you are like 20 kilometers away from there? That has completely been shattered. You can be anywhere and you can still work for any organization. That's what it's done. And having that stability from an organization that you're joining, that even after the pandemic, hopefully whenever it gets over, that it will still continue, is going to be a really good leverage for people who are looking to return back to work and want to continue the work from home option. So that is what the pandemic has provided, and we need to make sure that we utilize it to the fullest.
To respond from banking side, so banking has not opened up to work from home because of very nature of its job, and also security reasons and all of it. So if you're a banking enthusiast, you may have to wait. Banking will also open up with a lot of digital solutions like eKYC or credit e-assessment. However, fintech has already opened a lot many opportunities for people in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and in fintech there are a lot of job opportunities as well. If you look for jobs in fintech, it would be much more than banking, because conventional banking is actually dying and it's all about fintech now. So take a step there and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Great, very great thoughts and very positive thoughts. I'm sure a lot of people would go very inspired today.
Okay, then thank you very much. I think there are a few more questions which are there, but I'll anyway send that questions to you individually so that we'll circle back with the audience.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Be safe.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, and all the very best.